So y'all are back. It's me and Nate. Green Beret versus Navy SEAL. We got a couple topics we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about some flash news traffic that happened. And then we're going to talk about a day in the life of SEALs. And then we're going to do a day in the life of the Q course. And we'll kind of see how they're different. I think they're going to be different because I kind of talked to Nate about it. And so anyway, Nate, what's going on? I didn't get a chance to read the article on Mike Glover.
Well, there is none because I just put out the very first information on it that exists. Unfortunately, I just dropped the video, an hour ago. So yeah, I got the Green Beret channels and Reddit and back channels and everything. Started the rumor mill. One of my close buddies, another group dude, then messaged me the criminal case, right? The actual case documents, which again, I didn't pull these. They were just circulating through the back channels of the internet. Reached out for confirmation and found out, yes, it's confirmed that he, and I talked about in the video, allegations of misdemeanor child abuse. So we can talk about that as we go. Obviously, there's a lot of backstory to this, right? With the previous charges and the significant other who admitted that she lied and made up the fact that Mike was abusing her, and then blamed it on postpartum. And unfortunately, like many guys we know, Mike decided instead of breaking that relationship off to continue it and then knock her up again. And now
wait.
We don't know.
Oh, she's pregnant again.
Supposedly, from what I've heard, right?
Okay.
So, and again, that's kind of hearsay through the rumor mills, but
yep.
Again, we don't know. And like I said, the likelihood that Mike is actually like beating the shit out of his kids, do I think that's very high, considering the back history of false allegations from the significant other? Probably not. Do I think that we're seeing round two of probably what we saw? Probably. But yeah, we can get into that and talk about
I got a good one. I got a good one for
man.
you.
I mean, me and Jake literally just talked. We did a whole episode on this, guys, about like dudes like ruining their lives with the significant others they choose.
Yep. So I was up in Illinois, man. We had a huge domestic case. Okay, the first time he did touch her. All right, so he kind of gave her the business, but she was the loosey goosey team. What do y'all call the girls that hang around all the team guys? All the, what do you call them?
I don't know. There used to be.
We call them frog hogs.
Like barracks bunnies usually.
Okay, barracks bunnies. Okay, so we call them frog hogs, right? Like they can't get enough.
Hogs.
Yeah, they can't get enough. Okay, so
okay.
Shorty had been through like 19 dudes on the football team. Proven fact. Okay, so this and I'll say it, gump ass dude boos her up. Okay, she mentally is unstable. She got all sorts of craziness going on. All sorts of craziness. Okay. So they get a domestic. It was legit. He put her hands on her. He goes to jail, whatever. We get him out of it. Now, I'm counseling dude. I say, hey, listen, man, this never goes the right way. You're going to lose your scholarship. You're going to end up out of college. You're going to end up in prison. So they big-ass investigation on me. Okay?
Oof.
She gets me involved. Say, I'm telling him that he can't talk to her no more. Okay? $5,000 out of my pocket. All right. I had to lawyer up. It was insane. But this is what happens when you mess with crazy. I had nothing to do with it, right? I'm just trying to guide this young man to make better decisions. Call it 5-6 months later, she had a restraining order against him, but they were still talking. Yeah. She asked him to come down to her car and proceeded to have some dude, like right after she left, beat her up. How do I know this? Because we had a video of the parking lot. God. Okay. He got in the passenger seat. He was in there for maybe like 2 minutes, got out. And next thing you know, she showed up all beat up. That was it, man. Lost a scholarship, got sent home, ended up going to Division II, never graduated, didn't matriculate, nothing, right? Ruined his whole life over a young lady that was like legitimately batshit crazy. So yeah. Not a good choice, man. The woman you choose, man.
Well, and I mean, Mike is a great example of that. And again, I'm not going to victim blame or anything like that, but based off what we know from the previous cases, right? She admitted that she made up a bunch of false domestic violence charges. Now you think about that, like that is going to, now imagine if you're active duty and your spouse does that.
Oh yeah,
you're literally kicked out of the military.
You're done.
Right? Like you're dishonorably discharged, most likely.
Yep.
This type of stuff will ruin your entire life, right? And I don't know. It's one thing, like, and again, I like Mike, man. Like, people, there's already comments, you know, like, oh, you're throwing your brother under the bus. I did 4 fucking videos going to bat for Mike, defending him before anyone wanted to touch that with a 10-foot pole, right? So you can spare me on that. But at the same time, with our buddies, right, and the guys we like, if you keep doing the same dumb shit with the same crazy girlfriend over and over again, we're not going to just keep being like, oh, that's Mike. Like, no, man. Like, you've been arrested multiple times within 1 year span for physical violence charges with the same fucking significant other. Who, by the way, let's call a spade a spade. Mike's in his 40s, and she, I believe, is like 23. So I'm sorry. Like, there's some accountability that's got to be made. Like, you're making life decisions here. You're a retired Green Beret Sergeant Major. Like, come on, Mike. You are fucking smart enough to know, right? Like, sticking your dick in crazy, dude. Like, you bet if you're gonna do it, don't pump out kids, man.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. The only way
unfortunately what's happened.
Only way I'm talking to a 23-year-old is she's in medical school. Like, she better be bringing a lot of shit. Because here's one. I got two military equations that I think are incredibly true. Okay, rank plus age must equal 30. So, you know, if she E5, she got to be over 25 years old, right? Like, I heard that one early on in my career. The other one is, when I got out, the person you're messing with better have as much to lose as you do.
That's a good one right there.
So, like, if you're on Mike Glover's level and you all over the news, and then the person you're messing with better be a lawyer, big time CEO somewhere. Because when you go down to the bottom and they ain't got nothing to lose, you're the only one that's going to get flamed out, right? And I said it before, I hate to call a spade, right? I kind of threw Mike under the bus the first time before it all came out. I said beaters are going to beat, right? Like, it ain't the first time, it won't be the last. But then we find out that Mike didn't do nothing. But now Mike has put himself back in that situation. So, man, that's terrible.
I got my chat's saying you're too quiet. That shouldn't be the case. I've got you turned all the way up.
I had the same problem last time with you. Yours was quiet.
How'd you get that fixed? Because I can hear you fine through my volume, but apparently my viewers are saying that it's.
Yeah, let me.
Okay, I think I got it. I think I got you turned back on. Is that good now, guys? Can you guys hear Jake? All right, you're good.
Okay, what'd you do, Nick?
So I turned up my desktop audio through OBS to where, like, what's coming through my desktop is louder.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna go do that same thing then, because you're also quiet on mine.
Yeah, so if you go to OBS, there's like desktop audio.
Yeah.
I just turned the gain up on that, and that seemed to fix it. Yeah, we're good now. All right, cool.
All right,
was that Brent Tucker with the $5 dono?
Brent Tucker coming in here.
What are you doing in here, Brent? Creeping. Man. Does everybody know? Hey, everybody knows I'm going out to be on the Anti-Hero podcast March 1st.
Oh God.
Catch me and Brent.
Anti-Hero burning.
It's gonna be good times, man.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Brent, did you see the news about Mike? Not great, huh? And again, how did he get arrested again? Like, what the fuck, man? I look, this one I don't know the backstory. I imagine, you know, Mike stepped away from Fieldcraft Survival a couple weeks ago. I think we now obviously know why. And I imagine they're going to put out a public statement because, unfortunately, he may have stepped away from their company, but stepping away from their company like a week ago and then having this come out, like, it's going to fall back on the company, unfortunately, which I'm telling everybody, like, Fieldcraft Survival being run by Greg Lapland, who I know personally, awesome dude. So I hope that the company doesn't feel the backlash to this because this is his personal shit, man.
That's how it goes though, Nate, right? Like, it's a
brand like brand damage, right, is a thing.
Go look at Tim Kennedy, bro. Like, shit, you want to know the biggest brand damage in the world? Go look at Lance Armstrong. Right, that Lance Armstrong stuff was insane. That man, so
yeah.
anyway.
Well, oh, dude, I know it's dude, I get it, man. Like I went through like the crazy girl time and dating strippers and stuff when I was 20, 21, 22. But like, man, you're 40, you got what, 4 kids? Like you're 45 probably. Like what the fuck are we doing here, man? At some point, Peter Pan's got to grow up. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is going on here. And it's unfortunate because I really like Mike. I tell people this all the time. I was a fan of Mike's content before I ever even retired. I've always looked up to Mike as a content creator, and I think he's been a great representation of Green Berets. And then this last year, it shows what a fucking female can do to your life, your career, your reputation, everything. It's fucking sad, man. You hate to see it with a dude I know is a quality dude. You know what I mean?
When I was coming up, Nate, it was interesting because my house was a little crazy, right? And anytime a shorty brought craziness into my house, I got rid of her. Like got rid of her instantly. Like a second she exhibited any insanity, gone, right? Come over to my house or go to a party, get too drunk, get sloppy, gone, right? Like if you drinking that much, I don't need you around me. And so it's interesting because like I've dated a bunch of really good women, and I really haven't dealt with
me neither, man.
Insanity. Like I'll say this. Like I done had a couple. I had a woman trying to kick my door down, but that was a little different situation. She wasn't crazy. She just, I necessarily wasn't being, I guess, the best human being. She was 4 months. She just had a baby 5 months ago, and I didn't realize all of the stuff that went into having a kid. And I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like she, so she wouldn't sleep. She wouldn't sleep with me. I didn't even realize. Like sometimes it takes like 6 months to get your shit fixed after having a baby. But I was just a young kid. I didn't know no idea. So
yeah, I've been same for me, man. Like I've been, unfortunately, I was divorced in the Q course. I've told that story, but like my ex-wife is not crazy. She was super nice. She just didn't sign up for fucking the Q course and the life of a Green Beret spouse, right? It is what it is. We actually stayed friends for a long time, like amicable, super easy, like separation, divorce. My current wife is awesome. Not like, we all have a little, especially females have a little bit of craziness to them, but like on the spectrum, my two marriages were like girls not on the insanity spectrum,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What I don't understand, man, and I'm sure you could probably relate to this, is how dudes in their 40s, how do you have the fucking energy for that drama, dude? Like, dating a 23-year-old as a 45-year-old man, I don't know how dudes do it, dude.
How's Belichick doing it? Belichick is 44 years age difference with Belichick, right?
I don't know how you have the energy for that, man. Like, I couldn't do it, dude.
Yeah, crazy, get crazy, make your life get crazy, make your whole life explode on fire.
Yep. Yep. So, hey, dating your age bracket, and like I would say also when someone shows you that they're nuts, which for a lot of different reasons, right? Like whether it be making false domestic violence allegations against you and having you arrested and then redacting them, you probably should take that information the first time and not like be like, oh well, it's not going to happen again, because there's a 110% chance that shit's going to happen again for guys and girls. Same way. If you're with a guy and he decides to beat the shit out of you once, I can promise you that ain't going to be the last time, guys. Like when people show you they're crazy, believe them. Yeah. Somebody said that in the chat.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think, we don't know that much about the situation. Again, I'm imagining what's going to happen is it's the misdemeanor child abuse. Like he spanked his kid and the girlfriend got pissed and called the police. Like, who knows? It's not felony or it's not anything like that. So and it's not multiple charges. It's got to be pretty minor, if anything. I have a feeling it's another, him and his girlfriend in a fight, or fucking wife. I don't know if they're at this point. And the same fucking shit happened. That would be my guess. But again, I don't know, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I would like to say this. Like, you don't know... you've been seeing this a lot lately, like how the standard of care in the United States, people don't believe like a 7th grader can be at home by himself, right? Maybe the old lady came home and 11-year-old or 12-year-old was home alone. You just don't know. I tell people this, man. If you got a crazy bird floating around your house, there is no telling what she has made up, done. I mean, I got a good buddy, man. Good buddy. Wife smashed her face with a cast iron skillet and then called the police.
Yeah, you've seen that a lot. That's very common.
Yeah, man. So anyway,
and what are you gonna do, man? There's a he said, she said, and she's all fucked up, and the cops show up to your house. You're hosed, whether you did it or not.
Hosed. He almost did 5 years, man. He almost went away for a long time. Yep. Long time. All right. Let's get
got on that. Let's cool. Jump into some actual content.
All right.
SEAL versus Green Beret. Let's talk about it. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so lives. This is what we want you to do. Me and Nate are going to talk about. I'll talk about a day in the life of a SEAL trainee first, and then while we're doing that, if you got questions, I can't see Nate's live, so make sure you put a question in Nate's live so he can ask me, or come over to my live and put a question. Whatever live you're on, just put it in a chat what your questions are, and then we can kind of expound on what we're talking about in training. So, all right, I'll start. So I'm just going to give you a timeline. I'm going to start the night before. Normally, I would be in bed, going to sleep at 7 o'clock at night. Okay? Oof. So how did I get there? All right? So I sleep all the way from 7 until 2:59 and 20 seconds. At 2:59 and 20 seconds, my alarm clock would go off. I would jump out of bed. I would not ease out of bed. It was not a wake-up routine. I would jump out of bed. I had a little electric Braun razor. I just had a little bit of fuzz on my chin and my lip, and I would hit it real quick. It would take, 5 seconds. I would take a couple puffs of my inhaler, and then I would grab all my clothes, which would have been on Clint Bruce's bed. So Clint Bruce was my roommate in Buds, and I would just lay my clothes on his bed if they were dry. But a lot of times they might be wet, so we had a cage outside of our locker. They'd be on our cage, and I would grab all my clothes butt naked. I would run around the corner, jump on a light pole, and slide down from the second floor to the first floor, and I would get dressed in formation with the rest of my officers. So the officers had to meet. We'd be down there at 3:52. At 3:52, there'd be all the officers there. We would run to the beach to do a SIROPS report, which is kind of crazy. So our SIROPS report had to be turned in 1 hour before the first evolution. The first evolution is at 5 o'clock. We got to do the SIROPS report and turn it in an hour before, so it got to be turned in at 4 a.m. Thus the reason we up at 2:50. Okay, so we go to the beach. Normally what we do, all the officers, one dude would do the SIROPS report. The rest of the officers would sleep in the sand, okay, if they could. The other thing that we cheated on, they wanted us to put somebody in the water every morning to measure the current, okay? We started getting a 2-liter bottle with a chem light, and we would just throw it in the water, and it would float away. And we'd measure the current that way, okay? Yeah. So that took about 30 minutes to do. Then we would boogie up to the compound, which is 600 yards from where we live to the compound. So we were in the middle doing a SIROPS report. Somebody would take the SIROPS report. I would go with them. We'd turn it in the first phase, put it on this clipboard, which is a SIROPS report for the day. And then we would make sure I'd have my schedule. So I had, as a class OIC, I had a watch. So I was the only person in the class with a watch. And I had a dry write, one of them write in the rain notepads. Yeah. And so I would go back and I would check the schedule for the day to make sure they hadn't really changed anything. They don't really mess with the schedule that much at Buds. And if they do, they come tell you for the most part. But our first evolution, on this given day was PT. So we go to PT at 5 a.m. We would always be there 5 minutes early. So we have a little holding area in Buds where the instructors really don't mess with you. And the LPO, which is the senior enlisted guy, would bring the class down. And it was without fail, he would show up short between 2 and 10 kids. Okay? Like, I would say probably at least 40% of the attrition happens in that first morning evolution. So he would show up. He'd be like, hey, man, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so did not show up to formation. Okay? So then I had to go over the first phase before the first evolution and give a muster report. And I would tell them, hey, here's who's missing, whatever. We don't know where. We went and checked his room. Like, he said he's quit. So then they'd be like, all right. And then we'll see you on the grinder. So then PT would start at 5. Obviously, PT is just assholes and elbows. We had a boat that we had to put out there and fill with ice and stuff like that. Like, that's where you got wet. And they'd make you go under the boat and do dumb stuff. But PT was PT, right? I tell everybody, it sounds a lot worse than it was. Dips and pull-ups. Like, the most pull-ups you're ever going to do in buds is 7. You'll do these pyramids to 7 pull-ups. And so there was nothing ever really crushing. A lot of push-ups, a lot of wet and sandy. So you get done with PT at about 7. You get cleaned up, and then you got your first run of the day. Obviously, you ran 600 yards from the building down to the compound. But now you got to run to Chow. Chow's like 2.38 miles away. So you're going to, everybody's going to take a shower. They have these big outdoor showers. You're going to try to get cleaned up, or everybody's going to go get wet and not sandy in the ocean. And then you're going to run over to Chow. The good thing is they weren't really like dicks to you about going into Chow Hall as long as you weren't sandy. If you were just wet, you were okay. So you go in, and I do believe we had some guys in there that had mops that would mop up. You get your food. It was no instructors over there, so you just eat. We try to eat as fast as possible, so then we could get out, and we'd have a little bit of time before the first evolution at 7. At 8 o'clock. So the first, maybe there'd be the pool. So the pool is right by the galley, maybe like a half mile. Run from the galley to the pool. Your first evolution, you're in the pool for about 2 hours. So from 8 to 10, you could be working on any set of skills, drown proofing, whatever in first phase. They're going to mess with you at some point during that evolution. They're going to get the lane line and wrap it around everybody and do a beehive. The class behind me had a dude die in the beehive. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it was underwater for 8 seconds and died. Like
8 seconds?
8 seconds. It went underwater. There's instructors swimming around. They pulled him out, and somehow he just died. Like, he just died.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. So you got 2 hours in the pool, and you get out of the pool, and then you go on to the next evolution. So let's say your next evolution is surf passage with the boats, like paddling the boats out through the surf. So the instructors are going to be like, okay, you have 7 minutes, or let's say 11 minutes to get to the compound and be ready for IBS surf passage. I know it takes me 10 minutes and 30 seconds just to run over there because it's a mile. It'll be more than that. Maybe they give you like 16 minutes, because I can tell you it's 8 minutes from the pool to the stoplight, and then the beach. It's only 600 yards. But it takes you like 6 minutes to run down the beach. So like I had all the times laid out. So I'm like, okay, we're working with 30 seconds most of the time. Like most of the time we're working with 30 seconds. So we take off. We're not going to run super fast. Like we're just in a slow bud shuffle jog over there. I would have the time worked out. There was a couple times, like this one time, we were short by like 5 minutes. And I said, Mr. Instructor, he's like, I don't give a shit. Okay, roger that. So we got down, and just the crazy thing. If you run to the right and to the light, it takes you, let's say, 7-8 minutes to get to the obstacle course. But if you look to your left, the obstacle course is right there across the freeway. So we took a class vote who wants to run directly across the street to the left and hop the fence. And everybody won. Man, we jumped over the fence. We was at the obstacle course. The instructors pull up. They were pissed, like on fire pissed. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, man. We ran so fast. I mean, look. And so anyway, long story short, you got 2 morning evolutions, so a pool. In this case, we were going to IBF surf passage. You get out on the beach. You got all your boats set up. You make sure you take care of them the night before. Everybody checks the boats to make sure they're not flat. And then you're in the IBF surf passage for 2 hours. A lot of races, like who can get out. You go out, everybody jumps out the boat, you dump the water out, you flip it back over, you get back in the boat. Races for 2 hours. I was in El Nino, so huge waves, totally jacking people up. And then you're going to come back, and they're going to say, all right, go to lunch. And you got another mile and, 1.39 miles to get to lunch.
God damn.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So you run to lunch, and then a lot of times, like, you'd have a pool evolution right after. So, like, right after lunch, you go to the pool, which is across the street. As long as you weren't testing, I'd eat lunch. If we were testing, I would not eat lunch. Because if you're testing, you eat lunch.
Yeah.
You got food in your stomach. You ain't got no air.
Throw up.
Yeah. You don't got no blood. Well, the big thing is you can't hold your breath because your body's digesting food.
Oh, yeah.
So using a lot of blood.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're at the pool for 2 hours. That pushes at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. They're like, all right, log PT. So you run that mile and a half back to the compound. Now, right now, currently, they got a swimming pool over. They just built a new compound. They got a new swimming pool. So I think the running's going to be truncated somewhat. But if I have my druthers or my guesses, the instructors figured out another way to get them extra running miles in on a daily basis. So we run back over, got log PT for 2 hours from 2 to 4:30 by the time you get set up. And then, they may beat on you. You're going to have goon squads. So goon squads, all the guys that didn't do well that day. The instructors are going to pull them out. I went to goon squad every day because I was the OIC, and I didn't really give a shit. Like, I would go to goon squad with the goons, and I got gooned every run. Like, there was not a run I was not on the goon squad. So I went goon squad. I take an officer with me every now and then. We go over there and party. Mess with the instructors. That was my goal. We broke the instructors in first phase, so it made it kind of easier. Then you're going to run the chow. So you got chow again, so we got another run. So you're getting released about 5 o'clock, which is imaginary because you're never really released. So 5:30, you're going to clean up all the gear. You're going to go through the boats. I'll cut all the officers loose then at like 5:30, and then we're going to run the chow again. So we run the chow. I'll be the only officer with the class because I'm the OIC and I lived in the barracks. So I was the only O that lived in the barracks. And then run a chow. Everybody, we're going to take an easy chow. So we got a full hour. Like, we're going to try to get out of there by 45 minutes. So we're going to try to get out of there by 6:15. And then we got another mile and a half run back. So we run back. And then at 6:30, we were done. Released the class. You prayed that no instructors showed up because they would try to catch you on that run back. So, And if they caught you, like, there's a good chance they're going to meet you at the barracks and they're going to give you the business for another hour or two. We all had, like, you had nightly duties to get done. So most of the time, we had a lot of officers in my class. It was like, we started off with like 20 of them. So all the extracurricular duties we let the officers do while we went to chow. And they would bang it out in like 30 minutes, and then they would go home. So it was kind of like we kind of double dipped a little bit, but it worked out pretty good. And then, 6:30, you're in the barracks. I changed into my Woodland Cami BDU bottoms and my T-shirt, and I walked barefoot over to the little gas station, which is about 100 yards away. I bought a ice cream bar and 2 bananas every night, man. And then I'd eat 2 bananas in the ice cream bar. I'd be in the bed by 7 o'clock. No cell phone, no distractions, maybe a little porn before I went to sleep, and that was it, man. Yeah.
So I think so for everybody watching to understand the difference, right? As me and Jake have talked about this before, when they're going through training, they're like basically you're still just like in a barracks, or officers are going back to their apartments, and you're just showing up for training every single day, which, as I explained how we do it in SF, we have a very stark difference in the way we go about our training, in that we go to a little place called Camp McCall, which is a compound that is completely away from everything. We got to take buses like 45 minutes to get there. And there is no going home. There is no, apartments, going home to mama, like that. That's gone while we're in each phase of training. So, and but what's interesting is when we're out of training, right, and we're back at what would be garrison for you guys, we might have to do a little bit of PT like here and there in the morning, but typically like the rest of the day is just kind of off. right, in the Q course. So we have sections where you're there 24 hours a day for a month straight, and then sections where, you know, a week or two at a time, you're not doing a lot while you're just waiting for the next class. So I'm going to talk about, obviously, in training, sort of Camp McCall, what that's like. And we'll start with sort of like maybe SFAS, because that's kind of phase one for us, and what that day-to-day looks like. Because it's kind of similar in a lot of ways, time-wise, when you're going to get up. But we get sleep deprivation, and food deprivation, and we've talked about this before, super hard comparatively to where you guys actually get to eat, you know, quite a bit. And if you can get to sleep at a decent time, you actually get a decent amount of sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting seven to 3 in the morning, so I'm getting, you know, 8 hours of sleep a night.
One sec.
Go ahead, brother. Keep going. Hey guys, you guys got any questions? Yeah, average age in Budge, I would say, is probably 18. I'd say average age in Budge is probably 24, 25 years old. So, if you guys got any questions on YouTube, man, shoot them now. Nate had to go to the bathroom. We're taking a break. That's good, man. We had 30 minutes, man. That's solid. We got a couple this week. We'll start shooting our content this way, guys.
Right.
You got any questions over there, Nate?
Yeah, we got one. Said this one's for you. Said, well, I said Seal Man, but we'll say that's probably for Jake. Why would I take advice from my man that looks like he eats TV dinners? Hashtag Tim Kennedy for life.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, bro. I tell everybody this. Here's what I tell y'all. I'm 53 years old, and I guarantee you I'll beat the shit out of any of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, like, don't let the little light-skinned dude fool you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because many of dudes have made that mistake. So, but my point is I'm 53 years old. I am not 27 in SEAL training no more. I'm not even 40 in SEAL training. I'm 53 years old. But here's what I would tell you about taking advice. I just had 5 guys graduate in a class of 23 at Buds 2 weeks ago. So you can say what you want, do what you want. I don't really care. I have progressed a lot since 27. And more importantly, I know how to win out in these austere environments called special operations training.
There you go. All right. Let me. We got any other questions before I jump in and talk about what a day-to-day life is in SF? We got Tim Kennedy Sr. in the chat. Always talking shit. Brent's in the chat.
Ask Brent.
Brent said you're bad for 23. Said he wouldn't take that bet. Yeah, I'm not fighting Jake either, dude. I'm fucking huge, and I'll get my ass kicked. I'm not dumb.
Man,
fuck that.
Man.
Y'all are brave, man. You want to go try to fight a collegiate fucking Division I collegiate wrestler? Let me know how that goes for you. Any of them, because no thanks. I'll pass on that. All right. All right, let's jump into day in the life at SFAS. That's sort of phase one, what Jake was just talking about, phase one for them, right? So you're going to go out to Camp McCall and drive 45 minutes out into basically the woods and swamps of North Carolina. You're going to stay in a barracks, which used to be tents. They actually changed over from like the tent cities to the barracks right before I got there. And essentially at SFAS, every day is sort of the structured. There's 3 sort of phases. You got week 1, which is a lot of your gates and tests, land nav training. Week 2 is land nav. Week 3 is team week. But the days are still structured pretty much the same the entire way. Just what you're doing during the day kind of changes. And from day 1 until technically 19, you're going to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. You're going to have you're not going to shower. You're going to have like 10 minutes to get ready because you don't want to wake up any earlier than that because you're already getting fucking sleep depth into the ground. You're also going to go to sleep no earlier than midnight every single night. Okay. So you're going to get 4 hours of sleep at most all 19 days. Right. So you're going to wake up.
Nate, hang on. Nate, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What drives the bedtime of 12 p.m.?
It's just what they've decided. 12, basically. So let's say like during team week, if your team's really good, you could get it done at like 2:00 in the afternoon. Like if you just crush it, you've got 10 hours technically off, but you're not allowed to go to sleep. So they basically are just forcing sleep deprivation. whether you like it or not. So even if you got done, you succeeded, you got done early, you can't go to sleep.
So in Buds, we call it the Bat Cave. We had this super duper hideout spot that you could disappear to, and then you'd leave one guy on watch, and everybody else would sleep. There's no
typically you're getting done around 10 o'clock at night. So like by the time you shower, you get ready for bed, it's like 11. It's not really even that big of a deal. But I will say, if they catch you, right? Some guys try to like sleep and keep a lookout. If they catch you, your ass is getting dropped. So think about is it worth your entire Green Beret career to try to get an extra 15 minutes of sleep? I never thought so. So usually everybody's just kind of hanging out, chilling, waiting. Now, also, there's times during team week, if your team's shitty, you may get back at 11 o'clock at night, no dinner, no nothing. And you just basically get back, lay in bed for a couple hours, wake up, and go do the same shit over and over again. But I'll sort of start from the beginning, right? So first week, wake up at 4 a.m. You're going to get your shit up, get ready, maybe like 5-10 minutes, like Jake said. You're just going to, like, whatever it takes you to put your shoes and your uniform on. You're going to go. You're going to do a big PT, like an actual gated PT event every day in the first week. So it's like first day is a PT test. Second day is a 4-mile run test. Third day is a 6-mile ruck test, maybe 5. Fourth day is another like 6-mile run test, and then you have a 10 or 12-mile ruck test on Thursday, and then Black Friday, which is like you talked about, log PT. You're just going to get fucked up for like 5 hours straight, log PT and all that. That's your first week. Very structured. You're going to, throughout the day after that first PT event, then you're going to do a bunch of different types of testing, math tests, psychological tests. We do a ton of actual mental tests in the first week. Find out if you're a psychopath so we can get rid of you. Hopefully you are a sociopath, right? That's what we're looking for, a little bit of balance there. We're doing all those testing. You're also going to get all your classes on land navigation and stuff like that through the day. All right. For food, you're going to wake up. You're most likely not going to eat breakfast because you get 2 MREs a day. That's it. Up until potentially team week. If your team can get done in time before dinner chow, you're allowed to eat dinner chow. But other than that, 2 MREs a day, which, as you know, that's like what, 1,400 calories a day, 19 days, 4 hours of sleep. Yeah, so you're going to start smelling like ammonia. You're going to like progressively start like burning all the meat off your body day in, day out. Second week, you're going to get into land navigation. The first 2 or 3 days are practice, and that's during the day, and then you'll sleep at night. And then when you do the actual land navigation test, 2 days, it's going to be at night. So you're going to go basically swap your sleep schedule. You're going to step off. I don't remember. It's usually when it starts to get dark. And then you have basically 12 hours to complete your land navigation, which is you're moving like 10, 15 miles through the woods in the middle of the night. And then, you'll do 2 days of that. Provided you pass, you move into team week. Okay. Team week. And again, same schedule, 4 a.m., wake up every morning. Team week's where it gets pretty hairy because you're back in the barracks. And yes, every morning you're going to wake up, get your stuff on, eat quick, head out, do your team week events. Everybody's seen it, 3 weeks in hell, right? Like, this is the hardest phase physically. It's kind of like your guys' hell week, actual hell week. I think like Bud's hell week and then team week are like as close as we can get as like what they're really doing difficulty wise. And you're going to pray to God to get a good team, because if you get a good team, you could finish at 3 p.m. You get chow, you get 6 hours off to rest. You get a bad team, some of those dudes are coming in at 11:45 at night, no food, no chow, getting in bed, getting up and doing it again. You're going to do that for 4 straight days.
Nate, when you say chow, do you mean the chow hall, like all you can eat, or is it MREs again?
No, chow hall. So this is like a big incentive, and they do it on purpose because then the bad teams really start to like infight, and you start to really see the worst parts about people, because when if we don't get back to the McCall gates before the chow hall closes, now we get 1 MRE. We don't get the fucking fatty cakes and like everything that the chow hall has to offer. So if your team's good, you get that dinner at the chow hall. That's a big deal, right?
So Nate, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. If you get on a bad team, people are getting their ass whooped, correct?
Well, ass whoop, no, but like the peer system, like we do pink slips for people you don't like and stuff like that, will be brutal, man. Like
how quick can you get rid of a kid that's holding you back on a bad? So I'm gonna like in buds.
Get rid of. I mean, yeah, you'll have guys screaming at him to quit and shit. Like, hey, fucking just quit.
But
like,
you don't beat them up.
Bullying. No, they're not gonna let you do that. Well, they might have like back in your day in the 90s, but not anymore. No.
I'm gonna tell you right now, dog. Like 2 years ago, one of my dudes got beat up. Okay, and it was appropriate. He got beat up. Like
I've seen fist fights later in the course, but at SFAS it's like so structured, and like you have cadre there right next to you the entire time. Everything you're doing, there's a cadre overwatching you. It's although I've seen guys come close to blows. But the problem with that is if you were to get in a fist fight with a teammate during team week in front of an instructor, you'd probably both get dropped, because what they're going to say is you don't have the emotional maturity for you to be here, right? Because for us, they're looking for a dude that's like extremely mature, extremely emotionally mature and stuff like that. But
so Nate,
you'll see guys get bullied into fucking quitting during team week by like the team when they're a liability, man. Like that's a real thing for sure.
I had a dude in my buds class who had already been through buds, already went to a team, and got sent back to buds as punishment. Okay.
Oh my God!
It was crazy. It was crazy, and I didn't know all this until I did what I did.
He was a qualified SEAL.
He didn't get his pin. He went there, had some problems. He was a intelligence specialist, which was really rare for us to have.
Yeah, because you guys have like SQT, right? Do you get your Trident after SQT?
Now you get your Trident after then, but back in the day, you had a 6-month probationary period after you went to SQT. So, and SQT was run by the coasts. So there was an SQT on the East Coast, SQT on the West Coast. So like I got to SEAL Team 8, I had to wait 6 months to go to SQT because I missed the class by a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've finished buds, you could go to a team and then wait to go to SQT.
Yeah, well, you ain't really waiting. Like I was an officer, so I got sent to the woods for 3 months. So I got to do a workup I was a safety officer for another platoon. I got sent to Korea. Like they're gonna use you. You're not gonna just be sitting around doing nothing. You're gonna learn.
No, but I mean, you're not a qualified SEAL, even though you're on a team waiting to go to SQT to be.
Yeah, no. Like I didn't get my.
That's kind of crazy.
It might have been a year after I got to the teams before I actually got my pin, because I had to wait 6 months to go to SQT. So
Dude,
you can't get your
how is that as a new guy? I know for us, like that your first year as a qualified Green Beret on a team is pretty brutal, right? You are treated like absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what it's like for you guys to have like a non-qualified SEAL on your team.
It don't matter.
It's pretty normal.
Yeah, it's normal. It's like it's built into the system. But we were at buds, and so this young man, we were paddling out through maybe like, just call them ripples. And every time a ripple hit the boat, he'd fall out. I said, hey, man. I said, what are you doing, bro? Like, stay in the boat, man. We ain't even in real waves. He's like, I'm trying. I'm like, well, hey, motherfucker, you better try harder. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to make it in this boat crew. So literally, we get him back in the boat. Another little ripple comes. He falls out the boat. I hit him with the paddle. Wham! Okay. Everybody in my boat crew's like, damn, Jake. I'm like, I can't have this, man. So I put him on a coxswain handle, which is this little handle in the back of the boat. I wouldn't let him get back in the boat. So everybody's like, look, man, he's holding us back like he's a sea anchor. I said, hey, but I'm going to give you one more chance. Okay. If you fall out this boat, you're done. So he got back in the boat, started paddling. Now, here's the problem. We ain't at Camp McCall, okay? We in front of the Hotel Del in the middle of the daytime with 2,000 spectators, okay?
Yeah. Oh, because people like to come out and watch when you guys are doing
It's a beach.
Stuff, right?
It's a big-ass Southern California beach. Like, there's 2,000 people out there, okay?
Yeah.
And we were practicing rock portage, so we just making laps on the rocks, right? So, man, I remember I got in the boat, man, a ripple, not even a wave, just a little ripple. The boat moves a little bit. He fell out. I lost my shit, man. Like, I lost it. And we were, like, let's say we were 50 yards off the beach. We in, like, 2 feet of water. Man, I jumped in the water. I grabbed him by his K-Pock, which is life jacket, and drug him all the way into the beach. Like, we're in, like, maybe waist-deep water. I drug him, ran with him all the way to the instructors, dragging him like a rag doll behind me. Okay. I threw him at the instructors and said, get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And then I left and I ran back to my boat, and then we did what we had to do, right?
Yeah.
Later that night, I had to talk to some people because they were like,
yeah,
you can't do that at Hotel Dell.
Right.
And we saw you hit him with the paddle.
Yeah.
I said, look, I can only tell you what I can tell you. He don't need to be here. Not in this class, you know. So little different animal, but it still goes on, right? Like the instructors in buds, it's a little bit different because the instructors will have you go beat somebody up. So
that's crazy, man. All right, real quick, I got a super chat from
Go ahead.
H. $10. Keep it coming, guys. Really enjoy these live streams. Appreciate it, brother. Right below that, we got one that says this is a great series, guys. Please make this a permanent thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're planning on doing, right? I'm sure there's going to be times like me or Jake might not be able to make it, but I think we got a good show going. We got pretty decent viewership going on as well right now in the chat. We're over 500 here.
I'm at 250. I got one super chat. Guy asks, is Spec Wars selection more difficult than it was 20 years ago? 20 years ago, we were in the heart of the war. It's not more difficult now than it was then. I think it could get more difficult. Probably 7 years ago, it was at the most difficult. They had rucks on them at all times, ton of stress fractures, ton of injuries. And then the no missions is killing the SEAL teams right now, so you're back to having guys do 2 platoons and get out. One of my best guys I have is getting out because he said, I have no combat at all.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned on the War Room to you, Jake. With Green Berets this year, we went negative 600 Green Beret in personnel, and we brought in less than half of that, made less than half of that new Green Berets. So we essentially are losing 300 plus Green Berets a year in a unit that's got about 5,000 guys. Which,
are you always undermanned, Nate?
We didn't used to be. Bro, when I first got to the teams in 2015, early 2015, I walked into my sergeant major's office, right? And they had just gotten back off of a rotation to Afghanistan, like maybe half a year prior. I walked into the sergeant major's office very first day. He sat me down. I looked up. He's got this giant whiteboard, and it's got every ODA, and it's got every MOS position on that ODA with a name in front of it, right? The rosters for every single team. He looks at me, and he goes, there's 6 teams in the company, 6 12-man teams. He looks at me, and he goes, can you swim? And immediately I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to a dive team, aren't I? And he was like, I've got one spot open. If you want to go to a team, you're going to the dive team. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I want to go to a team, right? There was one spot open on the entire company's roster when I got there. When I left and retired in, late 2023, almost 2024, every ODA had about 6 to 7 guys on in total. So we were about maybe 6 to 8 guys per team, super undermanned. So in that close to 10-year time period of the height sort of the early 2013, 2014 to 2018, a lot of war still going on. Teams were filled. Nobody was getting out. We were plussing the ranks up. Shit, dude. That last Afghanistan rotation around 2019, when everything died out, you just saw this straight downward in manning. And we also don't have anybody numbers-wise coming to join. Nobody's volunteering. I'm hoping now with kind of the recruitment changes and sort of the military being plussed up as like a cool thing to do again, that's going to get fixed. But, man, we were in a downward spiral going down fast.
I'm going to argue, Nate, that I don't care how many people sign up for it. I still think we're at a tipping point in American culture where our kids don't play outside. And I'm going to tell you this. You ain't going to become a Green Beret or a Navy SEAL unless you play outside. But I'll tell you that right now.
Real quick, couple super chats, and then we'll jump back. I'm going to touch on that. Mr. Lobotomy, $2. Get Kanye West off X immediately. What's Kanye doing now?
Who knows, brother?
I didn't see. Something crazy. Knows? And then we got the Prepared Adventist, $5. Don't stop doing these episodes. Maybe add the occasional guest spot. by PJCCT Recon Marine. Brother, just go watch the War Room.
Yeah, that's what the War Room is.
It's me, Jake, plus some CCTs, Marsoc dudes, and other Green Berets. Like, that's literally the War Room. Just go watch that. We already have that show, guys.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. God, man, this was 2022, 2023-ish, when I was still in the teams and senior leadership position. Bro, the new guys we had coming in out of the Q course, like 20% of them were your typical, like, straight in the door hitter, dude's in crazy good shape. He's ready to perform. Now, there were some of those dudes still come through, but then we had 4 or 5 dudes that were just fucking problem children, showing up to the team out of shape, showing up to the team can't run, showing up to the team not knowing your fucking job, showing up to the team emotionally just fall apart when anybody criticizes you. That became like 80% of Green Berets, mind you, not just the military or soldiers or infantry. We're talking about dudes that put the beret on, showing up just not fucking ready and not prepared, man. What we got? We got, please get rid of this Tim Kennedy Sr. disrespecting false soldiers across the line. Uh-oh. All right, brother, you're about to get banned.
Uh-oh, you're getting thrown out. I got my moderator in here. Shout out to Jinx moderating my YouTube. We cashing people out coming here.
All right.
Someone asked, Nate, do you think it's better to come into selection a little bit older?
Oh, I talk about, I talk about this all the time. I'm very specific on age, demographics, and where you should go. If you are 18 to 21, I'm going to say you should go to the infantry, be a construction worker, go to Ranger Battalion, get an Option 40 contract. I don't give a fuck what it is. Do not try to go become a Green Beret at 21 years old. I saw maybe one dude manage it at like 21 to 22. Like, it is it's an older man's game. Do not waste your time. Get some experience under your belt. I would say the perfect age is about that, like 23 to 26, 27 to like start selection, start the Q course. Like you're still young, you're fresh, you're like in the best shape of your entire life that you're ever going to be, right? Your recovery's still good, but you're also a little bit more mature than you were at fucking 19 years old. Okay. And it's going to allow you, it's going to allow you to have a lot more success. Okay. That way, when you graduate the Q course, you're 26, 27, 28, you're showing up to a team, you're still the baby at 27. I can promise you that. We had, on my last ODA, our youngest guy was 27. He was our captain. Everybody else was 35 to 45 in the entire team, right? So 27, 28 still a baby. But you're going to be mature enough that you can handle your own. You're a grown man at that point, things like that, right? So that's what I suggest. If you want to go special ops, I'm telling you, and you're young, go be a SEAL, go be a Ranger, like go to the infantry, get your feet wet that way, because the maturity, like, while it's important, is not like as huge of a factor as what they're looking for specifically. Because as a Green Beret, they're looking for somebody that can work autonomously away from the government without any oversight. And typically a 22-year-old kid is not going to be the choice for that. Real quick, super chat. Prepared Adventist, $5. Oops, sorry, I'm new to this. Didn't know about the other podcast. I'm more of a sheltered church guy. Yeah, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, the War Room podcast. Me and Jake are on pretty much every week. It's exactly what you're looking for when we talk about that.
Absolutely. All right, so you golly, man, like when you put sleep deprivation and food deprivation, but you're in a 19-day course, right? You're in AFS trying to get selected to go to the Q course. Let's jump forward a little bit, Nate. I mean, we rolling. Talk to me about a day in the Q course, because I got to believe, I know AFAS is like that first phase for us. It's selection, like weed out at Hell Week, Team Week. Talk to me about just a day in the Q course, because I think you guys have, like, our 3 phases are distinctly different. Like, we go to the island for 28 days at the end of SEAL training, and it is Team Week. We're getting like 2 hours of sleep a day, right? Like there's a lot of volume. You're running missions at night. You're learning demo. You're shooting. So
we do that. So when you graduate SFAS, you go to SUT, Squad Unit Tactics, which is basically just Ranger School. It's a shorter Ranger school. So that's much like what you were talking about. So you have another phase of just as shitty as, actually harder than SFAS. Okay. That's your like upfront physical, tactical, and that's SUT is 6 weeks, right? And SFAS is 3 weeks. That's a pretty short period of time. So I'll talk about MOS phase, because for us, that's a huge block of the Q course either 4 to 6 months, depending on your MOS. And that is like you were talking about, like I can live in my apartment. I'm there with my wife. I'm driving to class or work every single day. Typically, depending on what MOS phase you are, 18 Echo course, like we're a little bit more relaxed on PT because we're just, shithead nerds. So you don't have to do PT as much, but you might show up to PT at, 6 o'clock, you do PT. And it's like being in school, man. Very super professional. You're in a classroom setting, instructors, and you're learning, whether it be, well, at least for the 18 Echo course, you're learning radios, computer systems, satellites, all the different stuff we learned. Or, if you're in demolitions, you're going to learn that. The 18 Bravo course, you're going to learn weapons, obviously, or Deltas, you're learning medicine, right? So it's actually a very structured sort of like, you go to the chow hall for breakfast. You can bring your own lunch. You're off by usually 3, 4 p.m. You go home to mama Monday through Friday for 4 months straight. Now, there's final Col-X exercises at the very end where you go out in the field. But for the most part, it's like a professional learning work environment, right? If you get smoked and like you talk about like the crazy shit, that's very rare at that point. Once you kind of get past once you get through like SUT, which is kind of our Ranger school, it kind of becomes a big boy course where it's like, hey man, you're expected to PT on your own. You're expected to stay in shape. Now there's going to be PT tests all the time to like maintain that you actually are staying in shape. But we would go to the gym, like me and my buddies as a class. That's how we would work out. You know what I mean? So, and then after that, you start language school, which is another 6 months. So keep in mind, this is like a year straight from MOS. You have Robin Sage mixed in there. That's our Col-X. But for the most part, you have almost a year of just in-classroom training as a Green Beret.
And see, we don't...
up to class, 9 to 5, breakfast, lunch, dinner, go home to mama. So we're really split out. Like the first half of the course is where you're at Camp McCall. You're getting your dick kicked in. You're not going to see your family. You're not going to see your kids. Sleep depth, food depth. You make it through that, and you get to the professional side of the course, and it becomes, we're going to teach you how to do your job. So it's kind of like half and like... This course is kind of like split in half between super shitty and pretty nice. Real quick, I got a couple super chats before I lose them. Flight Designs, $20. Thank you. That's very generous. Would love the opinion from both of you gentlemen. A few months ago, I saw a post in August. The Army stated that the Green Berets were using Wi-Fi hacking tools and even rickrolled them during an exercise in Sweden. Yeah, actually, so 18 Echoes can go to hacking courses. I was never into it because I'm not good at programming or anything like that, but we definitely have some 18 Echoes that literally one of the guys who teaches the course was basically on an FBI's most wanted list by the time he was 14 years old and got the ultimatum of, you can come work for us and teach people how to do this. And he became a Green Beret and actually teaches like the counter hacking courses. But yeah, that's something we actually we do have as Green Berets. I wasn't into it because it's not my thing, but it's a serious thing that we do.
I have a good buddy that taught class at like all over NSW on open source hacking techniques and then how to prevent them from happening to you. I also got a buddy that's got super spook crazy stuff. And then I tell everybody, like, if you don't know what a flipper is, go Google what a flipper is, because a flipper and an extra antenna on the flipper basically turns it into the best hacking device currently because you can fish.
Did you see the Sean Ryan episode recently where he had I think he was in the CIA, bring that bag of just USB cords, nothing but cords, and he didn't even have to have it connected to the phone. It was just near the phone and he could remotely access Sean's phone. That's crazy. There's some crazy shit out there.
So 2.5 years ago, I bought a flipper so that I didn't have to carry around spare keys for my vans. I just had every van in my flipper and I could just hit it. It would unlock the van. I knew right then that I was holding magic because you could rip all sorts of stuff on the flipper, and it was every frequency range. You could watch it. It'd be like, oh yeah, you're getting a frequency here. I tap into anything basically. Okay, that's very interesting that you guys. So for us, when you get to SQT, and this is a huge difference between the Navy SEALs and I think the Green Berets. Our two bases are in the middle of town. Okay, so Little Creek is in the middle of town. There ain't no training on Little Creek. Now they've built a shooting range finally, but there ain't no Like, I used to ask, why can't we parachute into this big-ass field? They're like, it ain't big enough, and the commercial runway travels over this base. Okay, fair enough, right? Like, you might get some water drops, and obviously the water's right there. You're going to get your boat ops, mar ops. But everything else, you're leaving. You're going 2 hours to Pickett. You're going 2 hours to AP Hill. You're going somewhere else. And I think in California, you're going to Nyland, right? Like, I think that's a big difference. You guys are training right there on your base. So...
Yep.
You know,
well, and again, Camp McCall's our own private compound, like
yeah,
that only Green Berets have access to. Nobody can even, and it's, bro, it is massive. This place is probably 20 miles by 20 miles, right? The entire training exercise or training area.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't, and again, like you kind of get dumped off there, and it's like where you live while you train. But even on Fort Bragg, right? Like if there's airfields and all kinds of stuff. Like we do our skydive jumps right in the middle of Fort Bragg because Fort Bragg is fucking gigantic.
Massive.
It's like the third biggest. If you were to call it a city, it's like the third biggest city in North Carolina, right behind Raleigh and Charlotte. So it's fucking huge. And we got shooting ranges, we got everything on the bases themselves. Yeah.
And let's put that in perspective. Okay, the SEAL compound is 600 yards long. Now, let's say 800 with the obstacle course. And Little Creek is, if you don't count the ship side where all the SEALs are at, is like 2 miles wide, 2.5 miles wide. That's it.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's big. That's like our Q course barracks area is that big.
Yeah. Like it's just a different animal, right? Like it's just different. So, and obviously go ahead.
Real quick, super chat. Morning lifts, $5. Thank you. Says, so at 35, are you guys suggesting going 18X as a Green Beret over being a SEAL?
You ain't gonna make it in SEAL
35.
training at 35. You ain't gonna make it.
No, yeah,
you ain't make it.
30, and I have seen guys make it through in their mid 30s. Very rare of the 18X program. It is, guys. You do not think about if you start at 35 with an 18X contract. Right, you're going to go to basic, airborne, selection, at minimum 2 years in the qualification course. That's probably 3 years of your time. You're all of a sudden 38 when you're showing up to an ODA as the new guy, and you're expected to be the most fit guy on the team because you're fresh and you're an E5 and you're an E6. Is it doable? Yes. You better have the goddamn genetics of Achilles, because me at 35, homie, I was already destroyed and broken. Now
HGH,
for the SEAL, if you think well, we talk about physicality, right? Like I just mentioned the course, right? Half of our course is learning and book learning and language and all this. It's very difficult, but from a pure physicality, time on pavement, rubber meets the road, SEAL training is fucking way more physical than SF training is. And if you're 35, I don't know. You guys have it. What? That's probably you. Probably
we had 136-year-old. 136-year-old was on HGH the whole time. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, you'd have to be.
And he was Hispanic. And I'm gonna say this: the Hispanic dudes have the largest lungs in the history of mankind. Them dudes are aerobic freaks of nature. Okay, and he was 36 years old. He made it. But I will say this: he did not enjoy his time in the teams. So, because he was 36, senior E6, you know, getting treated like he was an E3, and you're a new guy. Like you're not really getting treated like a new guy. You're getting treated like you should be getting treated because you don't know anything. So,
yeah, I mean, and I was on the teams up to the point I was 37, right? But the difference was I was 37 and one of the most senior dudes in the company, right? So that's a little bit different position to be in than being 37 and being considered like the most inexperienced. Why? Because when we go out and do PT, everybody knows Nate's got fucking 5 knee surgeries and 2 back surgeries and he's fucked up and there's no expectations like, hey, just glad you're out here, bud, right? Like to all the beat up dudes. But yeah, you're a fucking, yeah, it's a real thing, right?
Hey, Nate,
you're an E5. Nate. Yeah, homie. You're going to have some high expectations on you.
Our training master chief had 9 years split service. Okay. My man was in his late 40s and he could run okay. But I used to be like, golly, why are all the master chiefs and the chiefs in the back? Right? Like, why are they in the back? And then like a year after being there, you're like, God damn, that dude's lucky to be alive. Like,
yeah, he's been here for 20 years. How does he even not in a wheelchair?
Yeah, like my chief did 14 years at Dam Neck when he came to us, and he was already like, I can't run. Like, I ride the bike. I'm gonna stay in shape on the bike. Like, but I will say this, and this is one of the things that I think they're doing a lot better in the SEAL teams now. There was some really dumb shit going on, right? Like on the obstacle.
There was for us too, man. Yeah.
Obstacle course, we're jumping down 10 feet every obstacle. Now they got boxes on the backside. Like, there was a bunch of really dumb,
I watched it's about obstacle courses. We have what's called the Nasty Nick. It's an event at SFAS. It's like well known. There's one of those, the wood beams that keep getting like further spread apart as you got to climb higher and higher and higher.
Yep.
It goes up to probably like 30, 35 feet. I watched a dude fall because I went to SFAS in December and it was fucking freezing cold outside and icy. I watched a dude fall off the second highest rung onto his back, luckily in like a tar pit. And I'm pretty sure he like broke his fucking back. And the instructor just looked at him and it was like, "You're a no-go at this station, candidate." And I was just like, dude, that dude's dead.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's we're the
not,
type of shit we were doing.
I seen a dude rappel out of a helicopter, and I don't know if he was trying to be Slick Joe. He bounced 6 feet off the ground, like a 60-foot rappel, and he didn't break. He bounced off the ground. Now he got lucky. He just got knocked out. He didn't get hurt real bad. But
I've seen that same thing, man.
And I'll give you the simple one, Nate. Just breaking your ankle, walking through the woods at night on nods, right? Stepping in a hole, breaking your ankle. Stepping on a slippery boat and sliding and crashing into something. It's a dangerous job. And we're not talking about no high-speed stuff like all the other parachuting and diving and the stuff where people really get banged. All right, brother.
Quick,
go ahead.
I missed a message from Yav Tondez, and he asked, have you seen regular guys perform as well as special forces soldiers? I'm assuming you mean like regular infantry soldiers and things like that. Well, it depends on what you mean by perform. Like perform tactically, not necessarily don't have the level of training, but if you're talking about like physically performing and physical events, yeah, man, I think there's regular infantry dudes and even guys that are like, so I've seen supply clerks that are the most fit dudes in the world. And in fact, a lot of times they're far more fit than your active duty Green Beret because they don't have 19 fucking jobs that they're trying to fucking keep track on. They're just working one job and they got plenty of time to be at the gym working out 2-3 times a day, right? So, you definitely see that from performance standpoint.
And I will say this, like when we went to Army bases to train, them Army dudes was always in shape, right? Like you guys got morning PT every morning at 4. Like you're saying, they got a whole different standard of time off and rest, and they're not getting their ass kicked every day, for 2 years getting there. So, it's just it's different animal. But like for performance-wise in the Navy, like there ain't even no comparison. The Navy is fat and out of shape 95% of it.
Living on a boat.
Yeah. You got anything else, Nate?
Do we want to real quick cover where and we don't have to go into super detail, but I'm thinking about doing a video on it if we want to do like a 5-minute discussion on whether or not the Ukraine war is going to end. And the reason why I bring this up is I just want to get your like general perspective on this, okay? Because it kind of like disappeared with the whole border thing as soon as Trump got elected. Like that was the focus. But if you remember, Trump said he'd have that war over in the first 24 hours of his presidency. We haven't really heard anything other than what I saw the other day, which made me go, uh-oh, was Trump talking about how, Ukraine has a lot of rare earth minerals that could potentially be super valuable for the United States, right? And I saw those comments and I went, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. That to me sounds like we know something's there that we don't really want Russia to have, and I have a bad feeling that war is about to continue for another who fucking knows how long because of that. So
I'm going to ask
what's your thoughts on that?
I'm going to ask a different question, Nate, because I saw that same article, right? And I just said, so 2 things. I'm going to say this. Russia has a different mentality than the United States. If we go over there and fuck around, they are going to use tactical nuclear weapons. They are going to. That is in their playbook. We're not talking about ICBMs killing whole cities. They have tactical nukes that they're gonna drop. Like they're not gonna allow the U.S. and if the U.S. shows up, we're going to World War. Like it's gonna be a knockdown drag because they're not gonna let us show up and beat them back out of Ukraine. I kind of liked what Trump said in the beginning. Just let them have the land they have. Redraw the border. Okay, don't let them go into NATO. Go talk to Putin, have a conversation, stop the nonsense. I mean, dog, 2 million people have been killed in 2 years. 2 million, right? Like, we're not talking about a little conflict at this point. They have been killing people a lot.
Yeah, and I just saw Chris Cappy literally was just there in Ukraine with the foreign Legion fighters that are there.
Okay.
And bro, it's fucking trench warfare, bro. Like trench to trench, like 40 meters away. Trench warfare, World War fucking I style trench warfare. It's like we forget that shit is actually going on. And like you said, like this isn't like, 20,000 people have been killed. No, there's like 1 million people on each side almost at this point that have been killed, which is insane, which is why I was hoping like, hey, let's get the fuck out of this. But here's what would be my thing. All right. If we're going to make a deal for, hey, your rare earth minerals for our defense contracting and our weapons and all this, which kind of feels like to me that's maybe what the suggestion is going to be, like a trade. My thing is like, okay, you need to fork up $200 billion worth of rare fucking earth minerals before you get another round. Once you do that and we pay back the American taxpayer $200 billion, we can have a discussion going forward about what support we're going to provide. But if it's just like, hey, no farm, no foul, cool, start trading us minerals for weapons. Nah, dude, I don't think so.
I'm with you,
I
Nate.
just want to get your perspective on that. Cause
I think
it kind of just disappeared out of the news. Everybody was like, the border cartels. Oh, we don't got to worry about the fact that there's still a huge war raging between two first world countries in Europe.
And North Korea. North Korea dudes over there getting killed, right? They getting slapped off, and you got China involved. It's going to be interesting. I just think, right now, and we talked about this on the War Room, Nate, your boy Trump has a 249. Let's give him a Mark 48, an M60, and that dude just Rambo and everything. He's shooting hundreds of rounds a day, and so it's hard, like you guys said, it's hard for anybody to keep up with what he's doing because he's already shot 7 more rounds out this way. And so I think, this is all kind of, and the thing that I give Trump, he's smart, right? We know his intelligence is off the charts. He's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. And I think he's playing chess even in amongst the politicians. And so, you don't know. He just says shit, and he's going to say it to see what he gets out of it, right? Let's just say this. There might not even be any rare earth metals in Ukraine, right? He don't care. He don't care. We talked about the whole Gaza Strip, right? I'm going to go turn Gaza into Trump too. Okay, we know that ain't going to happen, but kind of like that. I don't know, man. I just think, he made the promises of shutting the war down quickly. I do know he has no problem going to see Putin, right? He'll go over there and sit down with Putin and talk. And I just think at some point, the world at war is not good. But I don't really care about Ukraine, to be honest with you. I don't care if Russia takes it back. I don't care at all. I thought the dumbest thing we were doing was sending them all the money, sending them all the resources. I know we wanted to clean out our stores of ammunition. We wanted to test some of our new battlefield stuff. Well, we took our M1 Abrams over there.
Here's what I think another big concern of that is. I think that because this is a first world on first world near peer conflict that's going on, the United States is supplying all the new scaled weapons. I think there's so much information, knowledge being brought out of that conflict for the military industrial complex that it's not just the money for them. They're this is we can literally test all our shit here. Yep. And I think that's a big problem too, is that it's kind of Afghanistan 2.0 to where it's we don't really have to pay that big of a price when it comes to personnel for the amount of knowledge, combat experience, all these things we're gaining. And so what I'm hoping is that's not what this is about to turn into, is this
and you're talking about
this protracted war where we're just using it as a military industrial complex, testing fucking facility, which is kind of seeming like what it's going to turn into.
And you're talking about Afghan 1.0, right? You're talking about Afghan back in the 80s when we were supplying the Mujahideen and we were going up against Russia. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
I just want everybody to understand that. We're talking about Russia in the 80s, or Afghanistan in the 80s.
It's exactly what we were doing.
Yeah, with Stingers, and we were testing out Stinger missiles. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think, once again, it's something outside this country I don't care about. I'd like to keep my focus right here in the United States. The whole education budget was spent in Ukraine. We got so many holes over here that we could address. Crazy, man.
Yeah, and I say the same thing. Everybody's like, when I'll make content, they're like, oh, you're pro Russia, or oh, you're pro Ukraine, or oh, you're pro Israel, you're pro Hamas, you're this, you're that. I'm like, no, I'm fucking not. I'm not pro any of those places. I am pro America, and that's fucking it. And if it's not in America's best interest, I'm not fucking concerned. I'm sorry, I'm not. And I expect the same thing out of people in Russia. You should be patriotic and only really care about what's best for Russia or China or whoever. But guess what? We live in America, and this is my only fucking concern. So is sending $200 billion more to a European country to fight some Slavic civil war in my best interest or your best interest or our kids' future? Sorry, you can't convince me of that. But that's all right. That's all. I think that's all I wanted to bring up. This has been another good one.
Banger, man. Banger, Nate.
The chat likes it. But yeah, appreciate y'all coming out. It's been we're gonna try to do this regularly. I know you guys, we're getting a lot of good feedback. And yeah, man.
Hey, make sure
to keep it around like hour and 15 minutes most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, make sure you guys jump in. You can find Nate's email or my email and send us an email about what you want us to talk about on these things. We are generating, so I'm going to cut this up for content for the rest of this week. 2 segments for me, the Buds part and then SFAS. But if you want to hear some other stuff, we don't really want to get into politics. I know we talked a little bit about kind of what's going on big picture, but this is more so like how can we help the next generation of warfighter? How can we talk about current events? We talked about Mike a little bit. But shoot your shot, man. Like, send us what you want us to talk about. We'll bring it up on Sunday afternoon. Hey, real quick, Nate, we didn't talk about this one. We got the Super Bowl today.
Oh.
Who you got in the Super Bowl, Nate?
Well, I haven't told you why I don't watch the NFL. I told that on my live the other day.
Ooh.
I'll tell you it's kind of a long story.
Is it WWF?
Oh yeah. So I'll do 30,000 feet real quick. All right. So back in, I think it's 2016, First Special Forces Group, Seattle Seahawks, great relationship. We would do partnered stuff all the fucking time. One of my buddies, teammates, is friends with Richard Sherman on the Seahawks. Seahawks asked our ODA personally, would you guys be willing to plan to fly in on helicopters, fast rope out of the helicopters into the stadium and deliver the game ball? We're like, that sounds pretty badass. But as you know, in the military, do you know how much fucking planning goes into flying Chinook helicopters into a stadium full of 100,000 people? The most risk assessments you could possibly ever fucking imagine. The most. We spend fucking forever. So much of our time when we should be spent training is planning for this fucking event, right? Well, about 2 weeks before this is going to pop off, they'd already given us the game ball and everything. We held on to it. It was going to be this big thing. 2 weeks before that happens, guess what happens? The old kneeling for the national anthem shit starts, right? And you had Kaepernick started, but who was the team? The first team.
Seattle.
All decided. Seattle fucking Seahawks decide we're going to disrespect the flag and our troops.
That was it.
The second we saw that, we said, all right, fuck that. We're not fucking doing anything for you. Dipso facto, apparently these game balls in the NFL, they're serialized. It's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
These game balls.
Yeah, they are.
And so we've got this game ball that's serialized, and the Seahawks, the NFL is it's, Deflategate's a thing, right? So the NFL tells them, hey, where's this game ball? And they're like, hey, guys, call us up. They're like, hey, we need to get that game ball back from you. And they're like, you can come fucking get it from our team room if you want it back. And nobody from the Seahawks decided to ever show up and try to get that game ball back from a fucking team full of Green Berets. They said, nah, we're good, man.
My favorite one is we threw it away. Where's it at?
No, we threw it away. We didn't even say that. We said, come get it. Come fucking get it, guys.
Absolutely. Crazy.
Real quick, super chat. Taffy, $20 coming in at the last second. I got 50 nades in my range bag, boys. My 2 favorite. Keep doing it. America first. Take care of our vets. Citizens first. Jake, I'll head over to your channel in just seconds and drop a super chat. Hell yeah, bro. Thank you, Taffy. We appreciate it.
Well, shoot, let's wait.
Right,
let's wait for Taffy. He got to come over here and drop his super. Oh, you can leave. You can leave.
No, we're good. But I wanted to say, so from that moment forward, I just don't watch the NFL. I was like, fuck that. I'm done.
Yeah,
I watched the Super Bowl last year. That was like the first game I watched in like 4 years. So I'll probably watch again, just so hopefully I can see the Chiefs lose, because Taylor Swift is going to be there, and I'd love to cheer against that, just like everybody is. You know, so.
So I want Jalen Hurts to win a championship, because I was recruiting his older brother at Channelview High School when Jalen was a sophomore. His dad was always telling me, that's the one. That's the one. I'm like, this dude sleep there all the time. My man would sleep every time I went to see his dad, the head coach, Avon Hurts. He'd be sleep on the couch, sleep in it. Like his dad parked his truck right by the office. He'd be in the passenger seat, just knocked out. But he was right. He was right, man. Turned out. So I want him to get a Super Bowl, man. But I'm gonna tell you this: beating that man on the other side is a very hard task to do.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll see. And, you know, I mean, I followed enough to know how good fucking Mahomes and the Chiefs are. But
Andy Reid too. Like, they got a good organization.
Yeah, he's about to be the go-to. He's about to be the go-to coaching here pretty soon if he keeps winning.
Yeah. He win another one. He just got to take it over from Belichick, man, because I think Belichick is the anti-coach. And I think I know both of them. Like, I was in camp with Andy Reid for a week with one of my guys that's coaching D-line, and it was absolutely awesome, man. Like, just a stalwart, almost like a general. Like, everything this way, this I want it. You know, good dude, man, good dude. So, all right, Big Nate. Taffy came over here and dropped $19. Look, man, hey, this shit pretty good, man. It's pretty good, Nate. I'll give you that.
Yeah, we got a good show brewing up. I think people like it.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, everybody. Signing off. Catch y'all on the next one.